Prabhu, you are live.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can you all hear me properly?
Yes, yes.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Yadiyantasthaye Patrani Vidunoti Suhitsatam Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Slokar Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Maybe you need some light, Prabhu.
So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, titled Sammam Bonam, Chapter 16, verses 13 through 18. Verse 13. Tan alakshya bhayodvigna gopananda urugama vinaramena ga krishnam yatva charayitum gatam terdurniternidhanam matva praptam atadvidah tat pranastan manaskaste dukkha shoka bhayaturah आबालवृद्धवाणिता सर्वेङ्गः पशुवृत्तया निर्जगमुर्गोकुलादीना कृष्णदर्शनलालसः. Synonyms: Tan, these signs, Alakshya, seeing, Bhay, Udvigna, agitated by fear, Gopa, the cowards, Nandapura, Gama, headed by Nanda Maharaj, Vina, without, Ramena, Balarama, Ga, the cows, Krishnam, Krishna, Gyatva, understanding, Charayatum, to herd, Gatam, gone, Te, from those, Durnimitte, bad omens, Nidhanam, destruction, Matva, considering, Praptam, attained, Atat, Vida, not knowing his opulences, Tat Prana, having him as their very source of life, Tat Manaska, their minds being absorbed in him, they, Dukkha, by pain, Shoka, unhappiness, Bhay, and fear, Atura, overwhelmed, Abala, including the children, Vritha, old persons, Vanita, and ladies, Sarve, all, Anga, my dear Parikshit, Pashuvrittaya, behaving as an affectionate cow does toward her calf. Nirjagamu, they went out, Gokulat, from Gokul, Dina, feeling wretched, Krishna Darshana, for the sight of Lord Krishna, Lalasa, anxious. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Seeing the inauspicious omens, Nanda Maharaj and the other coward men were fearful, for they knew that Krishna had gone to herd the cows that day without his elder brother Balaram. Because they had dedicated their minds to Krishna, accepting him as their very life, they were unaware of his great power and opulence. Thus they concluded that the inauspicious omens indicated he had met with death, and they were overwhelmed with grief. lamentation, and fear. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the children, women, and elderly persons, thought of Krishna just as a cow thinks of her helpless young calf. And thus these poor, suffering people rushed out of the village intent upon finding him. Text 16. Tam satha kataran vikshya Bhagavan Madhavo Bala Prahasya Kinchin no Vacha Prabhavagyo Anujasya Sa Tan them Tatha in such a condition Kataran distressed Vikshya seeing Bhagavan the Supreme Personality of Godhead Madhava the Master of all mystic knowledge Bala Lord Balaram Prahasya gently smiling Kinchit anything at all na did not Uvacha say Prabhavagya knowing the power Anujasya of his younger brother Sa he. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord Balaram, the master of all transcendental knowledge, smiled and said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavan in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his younger brother. Purport. Sri Balaram is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna and is thus non-different from him. They are in fact the same absolute truth manifest in separate forms. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Balaram was laughing because he thought Krishna never cares to play with me in my form of Seshanag, but now he is playing with this ordinary mundane snake named Kaliya. The question may arise as to why Krishna and Balaram allowed their loving devotees to suffer such great anguish during Krishna's temporary imprisonment within the coils of Kaliya. It must be remembered that because the inhabitants of Vrindavan were completely liberated souls, they did not experience material emotions. When they saw their beloved Krishna in apparent danger, their love for him intensified to the highest degree, and thus they merged completely into the ecstasy of love for him. The whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, or it will not be seen at all. Text 17. Tayan Veshamanandaitam Krishnam Suchi Taya Pade Bhagaval Lakshanair Jagmu Padavya Yamuna Tatam They Anvesamana searching out Daitam their dearmost Krishnam Krishna Suchitaya along the path which was marked Ade by his footprints Bhagavad Lakshane the symbolic markings of the personality of Godhead Jagmu they went Padavya along the path Yamuna Tatam to the bank of Yamuna. Translation. The residents hurried towards the banks of the Yamuna in search of their dearmost Krishna, following the path marked by his footprints, which bore the unique signs of the personality of Godhead. Text 18. Te tatra tatrabja yavan kusha sani dhvajopa pannani padani vispate marge gavam anya padan tarantare nirikshama nirikshama yayuranga satvaraha they tatra here and there abja with the lotus flower yava barley corn ankusha elephant gourd Ashani, thunderbolt, dhwaja, hand flag, upapannani, adorned, padani, the footprints, with pate of Lord Krishna, the master of the coward community. Marge, upon the path, Gavam, of the cows, Anyapad, the other footprints, Antara Antare, dispersed among Irikshamana, saying, you, they went, Anga, my dear king, Satvara, rapidly. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The footprints of Lord Krishna, the master of the entire cowherd community, were marked with the lotus flower, barley corn, elephant gourd, thunderbolt, and flag. My dear King Parikshit, seeing his footprints on the path among the cows' hoof prints, the residents of Vrindavan rushed along in great haste. Purport. Srila Sanatan Goswami comments as follows. Since Lord Krishna had passed along the path some time previously, why weren't his footprints? Why weren't his footprints, which were surrounded by those of cows, covered boys, and so on, smudged over and brushed away? Why hadn't his footprints been obliterated by those of the beasts and birds of Vrindavan forest? The answer is indicated by the word Vishpati, master of the covered community. Since Lord Krishna is actually the wealth of all living beings, all the inhabitants of the forest of Braj would carefully preserve his footprints as great treasures, the very ornaments of the earth. Thus, no creature within Vrindavan would ever walk upon Lord Krishna's footprints. End of purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadat Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Sha Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So here in this chapter we are reading the pastime of Lord Shri Krishna chastising Kaliya. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Please forgive me if I add any of my interpretation. And thank you for the opportunity to purify myself to serve Srimad Bhagavatam. So this canto, Sammam Bonam, dedicated to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dedicated to Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, is full of activities of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, from his childhood, from his advent, and even in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when he was like something like 125 years at that time. And so this pastime took place when he was merely 4 or 5 years of age. And the attachment, the first 3 verses show the attachment of the residents of Vrindavan to Krishna and their feelings and the intuitive reactions of the body, like the twitching of the eye or like, the omens as like, the omens are suggesting that, Krishna may have met with some disaster. He cannot die. But when you are in relationship with Krishna, you don't think Krishna as a supreme personality. So they are thinking any possibility because he jumped into the lake where Kalia resided. And the purpose was to drive Kalia out of that lake because Kalia was pouring poisonous saliva into the lake, and which was close to the grazing ground for the cows that Krishna used to take every day for his gocharan activities. And as a result, some of the cows, after consuming the poisonous water of the lake, ended up dying. So Krishna needed to do something about it. So he knew that we have to do something to chastise. So on the pretext of playing near the lake, Krishna threw the ball into the lake, and thereafter, after having been uh, told by the friends to bring the ball back, Krishna jumps into the lake. And soon enough, then the chastisement of Kaliya. So Kaliya is woken up from his sleep. Kaliya is trampled upon. Kaliya becomes angry. Kaliya is trying to, bite Krishna. In fact, he does bite Krishna on his chest, and but what's going on? But Krishna, being the supreme personality, is like getting caught in his coil, displaying his pastime, that again slipping out of his coil, then finally jumping onto his hood, and thereby and then start to dance upon his hood. And Krishna, who can become heavier than the heaviest and lighter than the lightest, brings weight upon himself because he has the weight of the three bhuvan, like all the three lokas combined. He has the weight. So when he becomes unbearable for Kaliya, one can imagine that Kaliya is also very, very, very strong serpent and puffed up also. So those are the two things that do not go together. When you are strong and you are puffed up, means you are sure to bring your downfall. So Kaliya is trying to fight Krishna, but he is unable to. So that's why, but the residents of Vrindavan, including Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, and others, for whom Krishna is their life and soul, they are rushing to see. But one must understand, even in our life, sometimes we feel that, those kind of omens, sometimes like, twitching of eyes or like, uh, particularly for men, it is the left eye is supposed to be a bad omen, and for the women, it is the right eye, and or any body part, or arm or leg or anything. So, but we must understand that we are devoted to Krishna and we are chanting his name all the time. We remember Krishna all the time. If we are for devotees, if you think of Krishna, then no calamity can come upon. There may be some calamity, there may be some, but it is minimized. It is minimized by Krishna's mercy. So a devotee comes out of such troublesome time without having any major loss of anything, whether that's material or spiritual. Spiritual, there is nothing lost, but even if it is a little bit material loss, it's negligible. So we must always not get carried away by the symptoms and become anxious. we are thrown into such situation just to test our strong connection, strong faith towards Krishna, and not get carried away by these small tests. Even though Krishna is fully capable of, you know, killing Kaliya and getting rid of the problem once and for all, but he chose to chastise him because Kaliya surrendered and his wife surrendered. So when somebody is surrendered, then the person to who somebody surrenders has to bestow mercy. So Krishna bestows mercy upon Kaliya and asks him to leave and go into the ocean. So as it will be unfolded later on, the dialogue between Kaliya and Krishna. However, at this time, we just have to say. So I was reading this morning Chaitanya Charitamrita, and in that Mahaprabhu is in Madhya Leela, 6th chapter, this deliverance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. As we read a couple of chapters ago, that Bhattacharya, after having been converted to Vaishnava cult, becomes so full of feelings for Mahaprabhu that he in his feelings of attachment to Mahaprabhu or devotional service, recites a verse and changes the words. The verse is like 10:14:8. Tattenu kampan susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagavapurvir vidadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhag. So he changes the last, the two words, mukti pade to bhakti pade. So, he feels like, the devotees, they don't have to do nothing to do with mukti. Whether there are 5 kinds of mukti, they don't want to have anything to do with mukti. They just want to do bhakti. So, of course, the sentimental feeling is very, very nice. But Mahaprabhu tells him that the verse doesn't read like this. It reads like Mukti Pade. But Mukti Pade has another meaning. It means Krishna's feet, the lotus feet of Krishna, under which all kinds of muktis are available. So you don't have to think like, that, you get that, Sayujya Mukti and this and that, and then it is all, devotees never even aspire for him. Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhakti radokshaje. Ahituki apratihata. Yatma suprasidati. So we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam that devotees should not aspire. But many places, even Prabhupada, that here our goal is to go to Golok Vrindavan. We don't want Vaikuntha. We don't. Of course, Golok Vrindavan is also a Vaikuntha. It is the topmost planet of Vaikuntha planet. So, but we aspire. The devotees aspire to go to those planets, Golok Vrindavan. But that aspiration should not be there because our goal is to serve. Only serve. Only what if you get the feeling like, you're going there. But when you go in there, you have to serve. There are activities. There is variegated planets. So the variegated, planets. And there, everything is, Chinmaya. Everything is also like, fully conscious. So, when you're fully conscious means you are serving Krishna with every single thing. So, you have your role cut out when you go. So, but, there is impetus for us to study. And Prabhupada also mentions many places, our goal is to aspire to go to those Goloka Vrindavan. But at the same time, they say that we should not get attached to these things. We should be focused on doing our bhakti. A lot of places said that, if we have completed our job, homework, even 70%, then we are assured. I was listening to a lecture in Bangalore, and there Prabhu visiting from Mayapur was talking about this. He says that, what is this material world? All the people running after, trying to accumulate money and all, and they are what? Quickly trying to go to hell. And we are devotees. We are, doing, our service, our seva, our bhajan, our kirtan, our, Navada Bhakti, and, listening to, Krishna Katha and everything. And what are we aspiring for? Quickly go to Goloka Vrindavan. So these two things, but, one thing when we're talking, we forget is that, we should be more inclined towards the process of bhakti without attaching that goal that, we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. The goal should be to do our bhakti properly and leave the, it should still be nishkama, So that's how one should, engage in the service of the Lord. And then when the Lord or Lord's, devotees, Lord's topmost devotees, Srimati Radharani, when they are pleased, then our success is guaranteed. So our goal should be to not try to become puffed up with, oh, I am doing so much and Krishna must be noticing. No. Our goal should be such that our service should be such that Krishna notices us. Our service should be such that. And as this last Sunday we were reading by a class from Namapriya Mataji, that one little sentence that caught my attention in a strong way was that the recitation of the word Krishna means it is bhakti. When you mention the word Krishna, means you are in bhakti, in connection with Krishna as a bhakta. So one should always have the vision of the Lord in one's heart and constantly try to render service by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Activity, that is the activity of the bhakta. Always chanting the holy name of the Lord. At the same time, anything and everything that is in relation to Krishna, including the material world, we need to do justice. We need to work in such a way that all the work in relation to material and spiritual is, as in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 it is said, must become yajna. It should become a service to the Lord. Then we have been able to purify our consciousness, and we are traversing the path that goes directly to Goloka Vrindavan. With this, I'll stop. Thank you very much for joining in. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Is there any questions or comments?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Good to see you again, Prabhuji, after long time.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.